This is the Jason Walker Show. Two-time National Sports Media Association Montana Sportscaster of the Year and three-time loser, the Jason Walker Show. The best local and statewide sports coverage, featuring the biggest guests from Montana.
Flint Rasmussen joining us here on the Jason Walker Show.
He's freaking exhausting, too. You used to dance a lot more. Yeah, I know, lady. I'm 51 years old now.
The NAI Hall of Famer Mike Van Diest joining us here, Jason Walker Show. And is it just a deal where quarterbacks have to be good golfers?
Well, that's all they have time for. They don't work out. They don't lift weights. They don't do anything else. They might as well go get on the golf course and at least have some fun.
And from across the country,
Doug Gottlieb, our guest here on the Jason Walker Show.
End of the day, remember, it's your show. It's got your name on it.
Howie Mandel, our guest here.
Jason Walker, deal or no deal?
the Jason Walker Show, broadcasting from the Major Mortgage Man Cave. Here's Jason Walker.
Happy Monday. It is the Jason Walker Show. Had a great weekend. Hope you did as well. Got our first chance to get out and golf 18 over the weekend, so that was nice. Had a very nice round. And it was fun. Celebrated Mother's Day, of course. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms, including mine. And, of course, my wife. But yeah, had a fun weekend. Hope you did as well. Today, we have On This Day in History. Pretty good one. We're going to chat some baseball. We're also going to talk some hoops and dogs with Providence men's basketball coach Steve Keller. He'll join us coming up. Tomorrow, Pete Van Mullum will join us. Went to school with the kid. He's had a really nice career helping coaches. And we'll talk to him. Jim Carr, president and CEO of the NAIA, will join us tomorrow. John Burnett, Legion baseball coach in Helena on Wednesday. Sam Herder from Hero Sports, FCS, he'll join us. And Friday, Sam will join us on Thursday. Friday, Bobby Petrino, Coach Bobby Petrino will join us on Friday here on the Jason Walker Show. Excited about that. All right, so just got some breaking news from the Big Sky Conference, and we'll read up on it and get to it later in the show, but it looks like the Big Sky has some contingency plans with the COVID stuff. So we'll read up on that, and we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. So looks like some changes for the Big Sky. And no media day for football kickoff this year, which is terrible. It'll be done virtually, but it's so cool to be out talking to these coaches. But I mean, we can't. And with everything else going on, it's obvious that was going to happen. All right, so we're going to start today by talking about some baseball. And we'll start with Jon Heyman, who has once again come out and said in a tweet, and he's been pretty accurate through all of this, but he comes out and says it appears as if minor league baseball will not happen again. Okay? This is what he said. MLB, this is at Jon Heyman on Twitter. MLB suggesting rosters expand to 30 to account for a shorter spring and arms not as ready as usual for pitchers. Plus a quote-unquote taxi squad of perhaps up to 20 more players to account for no minor leagues, which seems extremely likely. And it is looking more and more like the minor leagues will not happen this year, which means Pioneer League. Interesting. And again, we will keep an eye on it. But that is the way that it is looking more and more. Like no minor leagues. And then there's this. Sean Doolittle came out. He's a national or a Major League Baseball player. for the Nationals, and came out with a Twitter thread today that asks some very legit questions and poses some very legitimate concerns. And Major League Baseball wants to start back up July 1st. And it looks like June 10th, so about a month from now, they would like to start spring training. But Sean Doolittle, player for the Washington Nationals, is throwing out some interesting responses. So here's what he says he'll look for in Major League Baseball's restarting proposal. As I kick my garbage can. He says, and I quote all of this, "There's so much we don't know, including the long-term effects. On top of respiratory issues, there's been evidence of kidney, intestinal, and liver damage, as well as neurological malfunctions, blood clots, and strokes. Research has shown COVID-19 may cause issues with male hormone ratios, even in younger men, which could lead to fertility complications." And he adds, "That's not ideal. We know that sharing indoor spaces greatly increases the infection risk, and it's rare that only one person gets sick. Will there be modifications made to clubhouse or other facilities to prevent a spread? We've learned that you release the most virus in your environment prior to symptoms even showing. So how frequently will we be testing to stay ahead of the potential spread and to mitigate as much risk as possible?" And this is from Sean Doolittle's Twitter. He talks about baseball players in close contact, might not be in close contact during the game, but there's a lot of shared space in a clubhouse amongst players, coaches, and staff. Adding, how many tests do we need to safely play during a pandemic? And not just tests for players. Baseball requires a massive workforce besides the players, coaches, clubhouse staff, security, grounds crews, umpires, game day stadium staff, TV, and media. We need to protect everyone. And that is before we get to hotel workers and transportation workers, such as pilots, flight attendants, bus drivers. They're essential workers. We wouldn't be able to play a season without them, and they deserve the same protections. We need to consider what level of risk we're willing to assume. One sick person feels like too many. There's a number of players and staff who have pre-existing conditions that they are aware of, and likely more who aren't yet aware of. We need a plan that seriously considers the increased health concerns of any players, staff, or workers who are at higher risk. Sean Doolittle, Nationals, Twitter, continues. We don't have a vaccine yet, and we don't really have any effective antiviral treatments. What happens if there's a second wave? Hopefully we can come up with both a proactive health plan focused on prevention and a reactive plan aimed at containment. Hopefully these concerns will be addressed in MLB's proposal. First and foremost, 1, what's the plan to ethically acquire enough tests? 2, what's the protocol if a player, staff member, or worker contracts the virus? We want to play, and we want to stay safe. So, again, a lot of legitimate questions there by Sean Doolittle, a Major League Baseball player, who he's put it out there, but there's a lot, according to John Heyman and others, that have been asking same questions. Jason Stark put it up on Twitter as well. How is Major League Baseball going to handle all this? Which brings me to this point. American Legion Baseball, the national office came out over the weekend and said, we're not sponsoring baseball this year. American Legion. Let me get to the actual memo that was sent out to American Legion teams across the country. In light of the continuing events resulting from COVID-19 pandemic, effective immediately, the American Legion National Organization is implementing the following directives relating to the American Legion National Organization National Baseball Program for the 2020 season. The American Legion National Organization has canceled all 2020 seasons, regional tournaments, and the American Legion World Series. Concurrently, the organization has shut down all sponsorship and all involvement in baseball for the 2020 season. This means Those baseball teams that wish to continue playing 2020 season baseball shall be participating in a sporting event not sponsored, not endorsed in any manner by the American Legion National Organization, but sponsored and endorsed solely by the group the team is named. Any baseball team that continues play in the 2020 season sponsored by the group the team is named must understand that its team is not playing as an American Legion National Organization registered baseball team. The complete cancellation of the season means there is no American Legion National Organization baseball program, nor are there national guidelines, which also means there's no national insurance. In other words, teams have to find their own insurance. Now, I think Legion's played in 24 states across the country, including Montana. And there is a meeting tomorrow night, Zoom meeting, with all of the, 65 teams or whatever in the state of Montana, about how to proceed. They want to continue a season. Okay, here's the thing. I get that Montana, last best place. I grew up here. I'm born and raised Montanan. But how in the hell are you going to pay for this? The coach of one of the Billings teams says the community will help pay. How? They haven't been open in 2 months. How are businesses that haven't been open in 2 months going to help you and sponsor you? What about new uniforms? Because you can't, that's a big question. You can't wear your uniform with an American Legion patch if there's no American Legion season this year. You already complain, teams across the state, about lack of money for American Legion baseball. I played Legion. I know how tough it is to raise money. I know how tough it was to go out and sell those stupid coupon books that we had to sell in Bozeman, $400 worth. Unless you wanted to pay that. And that was back in the early 90s. It costs more now. Why is it so important that Montana be a renegade state? Legit question. You're more tough, you think, than a virus that keeps getting worse. We're finding more and more stuff out about this damn thing, and nobody knows when it's going to go away. We're going to get a second wave. We've kept, because we have the ability, my wife and I, to keep our daughter, who's 2 years old, at home with us instead of sending her off to daycare right now. And we've been home the last 2 months. It's been great. Love spending that extra time with her. And she had a doctor's appointment today, her 2-year-old checkup. Everything's fine, by the way. Thanks for asking. But we asked the doctor, is it okay to send her back to daycare? And the doctor said, we don't know. She said, wait till the end of May. At least till the end of May, because since the governor decided to open up the state, are we going to have more cases? We don't know. She doesn't. She's a doctor. And she doesn't know. So why does American Legion baseball in the state of Montana think that it's okay to play when we don't know what the future holds? Legitimately, we have, and again, I go back to what I said 2 months ago when all this first started happening. It's okay to think we're overreacting and at the same time be concerned as more information comes out. But why does Montana think that, like I said, I'm born and raised Montanan. There's no better state. But you know what? Our balls aren't any bigger than anybody else's across the country. This is a global pandemic that keeps killing people. We've seen neighbors in Montana die. But damn it, we have to have baseball this season. Why? Why put everybody at risk? What if one person gets sick and dies? Is that one too many, or is that okay? What's so important about American Legion baseball this year? I talk about sports for a living. That's what I do on the Jason Walker Show. And it sucks. But I'd rather be safe than sorry at the end of the day. You can disagree with me all you want. In fact, I'd love to have actual discussions about this with people. You can Facebook me, Twitter me, email, whatever. But at the end of the day, safety for our kids is more important than whether or not we get American Legion baseball this year. And again, Montana's no better than literally any other state in the union. I love the state of Montana. I love baseball. I love youth sports. But how are you going to pay for it, Legion teams? You already complain about, like I said, you don't have money to do a lot of things. Well, now you've got to get your own insurance. You got to get new uniforms. More than likely. American Legion's not sponsoring you this year. A little fired up today. You can watch live on the Facebook. You can rewatch on jasonwalkershow.com. Listen on Podbean, Network One Sports, Treasure State Radio. But why is it so important that we have to have our kids at risk? And you look at the pictures from across the state of Montana for these kids, there's no social distancing. I get some of them have been taken out of context depending on the angle. You're not wearing your masks. We'll talk to John Burnett on Wednesday, the Helena Senators coach, about this. Because it sounds like the state of Montana, American Legion teams are going to go forward with a baseball season just to prove that our balls are bigger in Montana. They're not, people. Sean Doolittle of Major League Baseball asks very legitimate questions that a lot of people are asking. How in the hell can you have a season and think that nobody's going to get sick? We still don't know if we're going to have football in the fall, let alone basketball in the winter, or volleyball, or cross country, or soccer. We don't know if the high schools are going to be open. We don't know if college campuses are going to be open. But damn it, we've got to have an American Legion baseball season, even if the Legion teams the Legion program's not behind us. Because we've got to prove that Montana is so tough. I don't usually talk politics on this show, but we might have to start. And I might have to start calling a bunch of people that I respect idiots. The school of Bozeman High, Billings, the three schools down there, public, Butte, are having graduations. 500 plus students in Bozeman are going to graduate June 7th. They don't know if it's going to be at the Bobcat Stadium or Van Winkle Stadium at Bozeman High. How the hell are you going to social distance that? You're the epicenter in the state of Montana. Well, Jason, nobody else has gotten sick for a while. Well, there was a case of a less than 10-year-old in Bozeman over the weekend. But we've got to prove to the rest of the country that Montana's got bigger balls than everybody else. So, damn it, we're moving ahead with baseball and graduations. Screw the science, screw the the actual facts, but let's go ahead and have baseball. Because we know more than everybody else in the world. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to talk basketball, or lack thereof, and dogs and TV watching habits of one Steve Keller. When we return, don't forget, coming up later this week, tomorrow, President and CEO of the NAI, Jim Carr, will join us. Peter Van Mullum will join us as well. John Burnett will join us. Legion baseball coach on Wednesday, maybe. Sam Herder from Hero Sports, and Bobby Petrino will join us on Friday. Steve Keller, when we return next, Jason Walker Show. Have you thought about buying a home and just don't know where to begin? Well, when it comes to one of the most important purchases one can make, we understand it can be frustrating and confusing, but it doesn't have to be. Let the Major Mortgage team help you with all your mortgage needs. Major Mortgage means major service, and we would love the opportunity to help you today. Give J.R. McFadden, NMLS number 1246357, a call today at 406-465-1918, or you can visit him at 2001 11th Avenue, Building A, Suite 3 in Helena. Major Mortgage is a division of AMCAP Mortgage, NMLS number 129122, equal housing lender. Spring is fast approaching and summer is just around the corner, so now is the time to get those windows tinted at Auto Concepts as the sun starts to heat up. Tinting is the best way to keep the sun out of your little one's eyes driving down the road. Plus, it just looks cool. Auto Concepts is your exclusive 3M dealer for tinting, as well as the best clear bras in town. Auto Concepts clear bras will not fade or yellow over time. And don't forget about suspension lifts and power steps for your rig too. Visit AutoConceptsHelena.com or check them out on Facebook. Auto Concepts, the auto enhancement professionals. Yes, it's true that Montana is a long way from the Gulf Coast, but you can bring that Cajun flavor home with a stop at Cafe Zydeco. From po' boys to classic sandwiches, Cafe Zydeco has all the best Cajun in town. Are you in the mood for seafood gumbo or crawfish etouffee? Maybe you're craving jambalaya with some shrimp and grits. Head in for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or call ahead for pickup or delivery. Cafe Zydeco will fix all your southern cravings, even on a chilly Montana day. Cafe Zydeco is a proud sponsor of The Jason Walker Show.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call State Farm agent Mike Miller in Helena today.
I'm done with this.
Thinking about trying something new? The Montana Air National Guard has so many exciting career fields to choose from, many that can open up opportunities in your civilian life. The best part? You'll be getting paid to learn a new trade skill right here at home. What are you waiting for? Let's get you in school and get you paid. Contact Leak Fecto at 406-788-8962.
Store-wide savings are what you'll find when you shop for new home furnishings at Rucker's Furniture. This means tremendous values on Helena's largest in-stock selection of home furnishings. When you shop Rucker's, you'll find store-wide savings on the furniture you want for every room in your home. And you'll also find our selection of Serta iComfort, the most comfortable beds in Helena. 12-month financing is available with approved credit on most purchases over $289. Ask for details. You'll find store-wide savings at Rucker's Furniture, 1010 Dearborn, Helena.
Welcome back to the Jason Walker Show.
Jason Walker Show on a Monday. Yeah, I'm a little fired up today. The stupidity and idiocy of people just amazes me sometimes. And I was talking to my wife the other day about this at dinner. It was last night, Mother's Day dinner. By the way, great Mother's Day dinner, Green Meadow Country Club. Prime rib, citrus herb crusted salmon. Oh, you need to become a member at Green Meadow Country Club because of dinners like that, specials, plus the golf. 18 holes on Saturday. Beautiful, beautiful day. Go out to Green Meadow. Tell them that you heard it, saw it, Jason Walker Show. Get signed up. Become a member. Well worth your time. All right, so was talking to the wife last night. I said, let's say we don't have sports this fall. And Bob Valvano talked about it a couple of weeks ago here on the show. You know, he's got a sports talk show in Louisville. He also does college basketball and football on ESPN, but especially the basketball. But he said that. He goes, you know, he could be out of a job if there's no sports. And I was like, well, I told the wife, I said, what do I talk about if there's no sports? She goes, as long as you got sponsors, talk about whatever the hell you want. And like Doug Gottlieb says, my name's on the show. I'll talk about what I want. And if that means breaking down the stupidity of some people, I'm gonna. Like, why is it so important to have to have an American Legion baseball season without American Legion saying, we're your sponsor? You got a national insurance rate, apparently. But now you've got to go find your own insurance. You've got to find all these sponsors that businesses haven't been open in 2 months. I've got great sponsors here on the Jason Walker Show. Thankfully, they've stuck with us throughout all of this, including great food sponsors. But how are you going to go out to an American Legion sponsor and say, look, you haven't been open, you haven't made money in 2 months, but damn it, give us money to play baseball. Anyway. All right, let's talk about something good. Well, somewhat. We don't know if there's going to be... We know there's no Montana-Wyoming All-Star Basketball Series this year, which it sucks. For the kids more than anything. But, oh, and here it comes. Jason, you're a hypocrite because you just said it's for the kids. I mean, that's what baseball's for. I'm so fired up today. All right, anyway, I want to get off of that. Let's get to our interview. Joining us on the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline, he is the head coach. He's undefeated in the Montana-Wyoming All-Star Series, and it'll stay that way for at least another year. He is the coach of the Providence men's basketball team. What was their reaction, the team's reaction, when he told them back in March, hey, we're not going to nationals? It would have been the first trip in forever for the Argos, for the men. Joining us now is Steve Keller on the Jason Walker Show. We'll talk. I just want to know what their reaction was, how he's doing. What's he watching? Here he is, Jason Walker Show. Steve Keller, Providence men's basketball coach. Well, first off, Coach, I guess, how are you? Because it's kind of a weird time as far as recruiting and downtime, but yet not being able to work with players, and it's just a weird situation. How are you?
Well, staying healthy. Hopefully that's what everybody's doing, you know, and trying to do what everybody tells us to do and staying at home mostly. So hope nobody has to see anything like this again in their lifetime.
You know what? That's something too, Coach, that, you know, we none of us have seen. And I said this back in March when everything first got canceled was you can relate it to 100 years ago with Spanish flu, but we didn't have radio, we didn't have TV, and we definitely didn't have social internet or social media back then. So nobody's ever seen this, and nobody knows how to react, I think.
My dad's 83, and he's never seen anything like it. So, yeah, it's been 100 years, and, yeah, everybody's adapting. It's hard to believe that we can shut everything down like we have, but it seems to be working.
Hey, let's go back to March real quick. What did you tell the team after the NAI championships were canceled?
Well, it was kind of, I was in Missoula at the Class C. My son coaches Twin Bridges, and I was at his tournament game. And when I got the word, that was Wednesday evening. They started that a day early. And so he had a Thursday morning game, so I watched that, and then I raced back. And, I mean, we were in and out. I just basically told them they had a great season and told them how proud I was of them and what they have accomplished. And yeah, it was a difficult conversation, but we had a quick 30-minute meeting, and some of our guys we had two guys from Montreal had to get out of the country and get ready to go. So it was crazy, but everybody went through it.
And now those two guys from Canada, you and I were talking, they might not be able to get back into the States anytime soon. Have you been in contact with them?
Well, No, we haven't. Neither one of them have a cell phone, believe it or not, and they're hard to get a hold of. And yeah, it's just, and I don't know if they could tell us the answer to that question or not. You know, we've already been told that the Canadian schools that, you know, we have one in our tournament. We're supposed to play one in Rocky's tournament. That those guys are canceling out already. So, you know, the teams aren't allowed to come across the border. I don't know if they're going to allow the players to come.
Man. Steve Keller, our guest here on the Jason Walker Show, Mike Miller State Farm Hotline. One of the other things that has happened that involves you is the cancellation of the Montana-Wyoming All-Star game and All-Star Series. I think we saw this coming, and I know that everybody tried to hold off as long as they could, but the announcement last week, how tough is that, too? Because I know you've had a lot of fun. Take away all the wins, but you've had a lot of fun coaching in that, too.
Well, it's been a lot of fun. You know, I tell them every time that we have our first meeting, it's an honor for me to, you know, to coach them. And it's an honor for them to be the top 10 players in the state of Montana. And so, yeah, it was a tough deal. It was something that we were looking forward to. We held on longer than most of them did. Mm-hmm. And, you know, so, but it's bad. It's sad for them because that's their chance too. And they didn't get, I feel bad for the guys more than myself.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. What kind of dog do you have?
I have 3 Dachshunds.
Oh, we have one.
They're loud.
We have one, and yeah, no, I know what. And, well, she's a Wiener Chihuahua mix, so
yeah, we got 3 of them.
Oh, yeah. When I
like having 3 kids.
That's true. The wife and I, she had 3. She's got 2 Chihuahuas and then the Wiener Chihuahua mix, and then I had a mini Australian Shepherd. So at least the Aussie Shepherd is actually fun to hang out with, though. Are these lap dogs for you? Is this how you relax? Is you hang out with the dachshunds?
Yep. That's what they do. That's exactly what they do.
Oh, that's fantastic. Steve Keller, our guest here on the Jason Walker Show, the University of Providence men's head basketball coach. Let's go back to this this lineup that you potentially were going to have for the All-Star Series. There's some great players. Take away the AA players, but these smaller school kids were going to be fun to watch. When you look at, you know, a Keely Bake, you look at a Brendan Johnson, and, you know, famous left hand who's got one of the greatest names ever in the game of basketball. And then Caden Redfield also from Hardin. But those were going to be some fun kids to watch.
Oh, absolutely. And Famous isn't left-handed, by the way, either.
Right.
I thought he was. But, yeah, it would have been fun coaching those guys. And we've seen Keely Bake a lot. We recruited him. And Brendan Johnson from Livingston, I actually coached his brother, Mark Lucier, at Montana Western, so I knew a lot about him. And, yeah, it's just fun. You know, it's fun getting those kids together and trying, you know, you have basically 2 teams and you try to mix match the best you can and see how it turned out. But, yeah, I was looking forward to him. Raleigh Worcester, great player.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I thought it was a good, solid lineup.
Oh, absolutely. And you mentioned, you know, Raleigh, but then his teammates in Camden, Lawrence, who's heading to Tech, I believe, and then Abe Johnson, who's headed out to, was it West Point? Is that where he's going?
Yep.
So there's some quality talent on that team. Julius Mims going to the North Idaho, I believe, too, right? Is that where he's headed?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and he's a big time track athlete. I think he went 6'10" last year at the state meet, and we recruited him. Unfortunately, we didn't get any of those guys. But, you know, sometimes we get some of those guys. You know, we ended up getting Riley King. You know, we ended up being a pretty good player for us. But it's just it's really fun for me to go down there. And then, of course, my son Wes is the women's coach, so that's an added feature that I get to watch him coach. So it's a big deal to me. I mean, I enjoy it.
Well, it helps that you're also, 16-0?
That helps, too.
Steve Keller.
Last year, they were both close games.
They were. They were. Why is that Montana has been so dominant lately? Because, You know, you look at the Badlands Bowl in football between Montana and North Dakota, and it's not even close. And then you look at the basketball, and it's just been dominated by Montana over the last 8 years on both sides, boys and girls.
Yeah. I think it's size. You know, Montana's bigger than Wyoming. I think Montana basketball is better than Wyoming basketball at this time. And then I don't think there's not a lot of D1 basketball players coming out of Montana or Wyoming. So, I don't know. I mean, that thing was not even, but there were years Wyoming won both games. So it's just we've had a good run.
So you're saying it's coaching. It's all because of you and Wes.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Steve Keller, our guest here, Jason Walker Show. You can take a little bit of credit, Coach. It's fine.
I don't like to do that very often.
That is true. So you've been staying safe. You've been how hard is it to recruit right now, because you can't bring kids to campus, and it's a different recruiting type of season right now.
Yeah, and it is for everybody. We did sign one guy early, and the people who are getting these guys signed, that's an advantage. And, that's our pitch, is try to get them to sign early, that there's going to be a whole bunch of guys here, later on. But I don't know that anybody's going to be able to come to campus. And that's hard on kids. That's a tough decision for them. And they want to see the campus, and their parents want to see it. And so, yeah, it's been really hard. We just talked to them on the phone, tried to convince them why they should come here. But a lot of the kids we talked to, they never dreamt that they would be looking at a place in Montana to play college basketball. So, and then there's warm weather over cold weather. They think Montana is the coldest place on earth. And so, yeah, it hasn't been easy.
You do have a lot of guys on the roster, and it's one of those where you have to play the best 12 to 13 guys. And I know coaches have, their favorite 9 or top 9 really that you play, but how hard is it to have so many guys on a roster?
Well, it's pretty hard because we're actually we practice on 2 courts side by side at the same time. So it's a little bit noisy in there, but we think it's pretty cool, that we have a JV program, and we have 30 some kids involved in the program. And, it's a little bit hard with practice, but what we do, and we're happy that we're doing it.
You and I were talking last week, the scheduling is tough because, like you mentioned earlier, Canadian teams are not going to come down to the U.S. anytime soon. How tough is it right now to fill out a schedule?
Well, that's the hard part. And we've got, some teams in the Cascade, like Northwest University. They're near Seattle. They're not letting them travel 2 hours. We have a contract with them. If their state opens up, they'll be allowed to come. But, I just don't think those guys are coming. And it's hard. I don't know what we're going to do. We may end up only playing conference games. And then you got to decide, you want your best players to play 15 games, and that's all they get for a season, which really isn't fair.
Mm-mm.
So, yeah, scheduling has been tough. But recruiting and scheduling, I feel good about our roster. If we had to go with what we got now, we'd be fine. But we're still looking for a player or two like everybody else is.
Sure.
Hasn't been easy.
No.
Everybody's doing it.
You've been on the phone, I'm sure, with all the coaches across the Frontier and Commissioner Paulson. But what's the Frontier's take so far on a plan? I mean, because we don't know what football plan is yet. And then NAI basketball starts so early with practices. And, there's games in October. If there's no kids on campus, what's the Frontier contingency plans?
Yeah, I haven't heard what they're doing yet, and I think they're just kind of waiting, and hoping for the best. Obviously, if they don't have football, that means they're not having kids on campus. So I doubt if we're going to have 100 kids on campus. And yeah, it's uncharted waters where nobody knows right now.
You mentioned about maybe just doing 15 conference games. And with LC leaving, that makes it easier because now you can just hang out in the state of Montana, which is great. Plus, you don't have to do that road trip, which is awesome. but it just blows my mind that the conferences are actually considering just conference play and starting after the first of the year. And how would that look, honestly?
Well, we haven't really discussed that. I know the Cascade has, and I've heard nationally that other conferences are considering that, starting in January. So, it is an option. It helps that we're all in the same state.
Mm-hmm.
But that also tells us that we probably can't travel to, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, wherever we have some games, and next year we're all one division and you need to play some of those teams from other leagues. And, but I just think some states got it way worse than us. So we'll just wait and see.
Could you see a situation in the Frontier possibly where it's like other conferences that have said, look, if some of our teams or schools allow kids on campus, then we can have sports. And if not, then those schools won't. So could there be a situation? Could you see, worst case scenario, obviously everything's done, but where certain teams in the league are open and playing and some teams aren't?
I don't think we would do that as a league, but, you never know. I just don't really have a feel for that. And, we've only basically been informed that we're kind of in lockdown, the whole Frontier Conference. We're not supposed to be doing anything or opening gyms or we can't get in ours anyway, but we're just kind of shut down and waiting, following the governor's orders.
Steve Keller joining us, Mike Miller, State Farm Hotline. What have you been watching in the last 2 months on the TV? Because there's no sports to watch. So what's a Steve Keller movie night look like?
Well, we watch a lot of Netflix and, been watching the Jordan thing. There hasn't been much sports. Designated Survivor. Watch that one. You'd wonder why anybody wants to be president of the United States.
Right. That was a fantastic show. I loved that when it was out with Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, I did too.
Yep. I have not watched the Jordan thing, and I was never a big Jordan guy. What was your take on the 10 episodes or whatever it was?
They've shown 8. It's been really interesting because I'm a Laker fan growing up, so I watched them. Didn't watch Jordan a lot, to be honest with you, and now to see he was really, really good. And just they're showing his competitiveness and how he drives guys. And I think the best thing, they were asking about gambling, and he said, "I don't have a gambling problem. I have a competition problem." And I kind of have that same problem once in a while to myself. So, great show. I think you need to watch it.
I was just never a Jordan fan. My wife idolized Jordan. Their birthdays are 2 days apart. I'm sitting here in my studio looking at the 7 pictures that I bought her that are all Jordan related. I can't get behind him. I was a Kobe guy and a Magic guy. So
yeah, me too. Me too.
Being a Laker fan, it's hard to root for Jordan, especially was it 91?
Yep.
Yeah,
it was.
I know he was good, but I just never got into being a Jordan fan. And of course, I'm not a LeBron guy at all, even though he's on the Lakers. Are you a LeBron guy?
I am now.
You sound like Coach Sayers down at Carroll College on the women's side. She's the same way. How many Laker fans are there in the Frontier coaching wise? Do you know?
I don't, but I think I'm probably the only one.
Oh,
I don't. I really don't. I know my son is at Rocky. I'll give you that. But I don't know about any of these guys. Billy Dreikosen is probably a Celtic guy. He looks like a Celtic guy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. He's got that old school like 60s, early 70s look. I could see him in that Celtics uniform with the glasses and everything.
Yep.
That's, you know what? We should do a segment sometime on which Frontier coaches suit which teams in the NBA the best. Like, what would they have played for? And so if Billy D would be a Celtic, who would you have? Obviously Laker. You the
absolutely.
Jerry West of the Frontier Conference?
You know what? Believe it or not, I watched. I wasn't very old, but I can remember watching Jerry West and Elgin Baylor. Believe it or not, and Wilt Chamberlain, and they weren't on very often, but I can remember them.
Where would Wes have played? Where does he fit?
He's a Laker.
Okay. So
Yep.
a little.
Wes is a Laker.
Well, with the age difference, he would have been the water boy growing up, right? So while you were playing, he's sitting on the end of the bench with the Laker girls. I could see that.
Yeah, I don't know.
That is something I'm going to have to put together. Which Frontier Conference coaches, the look that they have on the sideline, which suits which NBA team the best? I like that.
Well, yeah, you got plenty of time. You got plenty
it's not
of
like
time
I'm
to
doing
do that.
anything else.
There's no sports going on right now.
Hey, how's your golf game?
That goes up and down every day. That's the most frustrating sport, and it's about the only one I got left anymore. It's too old to do anything else.
That's right. Coach, I appreciate the time as always. If you get to Helena, look me up. We'll go golf. You have my number, so we can go golf. I think we can social distance far enough apart. I mean, we did it for 20 years. We might as well, keep it going, right?
Absolutely.
Now we just talk. We can still social distance, so.
Yeah. Just keep up the good work.
Well, I appreciate it, Coach. Hey, who would you recommend me having on the show? What guests would you like to see?
You should have told me you were going to ask me that question before we got on.
Well, I never tell my guests that, because then you're prepared. That's why this is
Magic Johnson.
Oh, come
Magic
on. I'll work on Magic. I'll see what I can do. Hey, stay safe up there and stay out of trouble, and we'll talk to you soon, Coach.
Okay, thanks, Dick.
It's Coach Steve Keller, Providence. I'll see if Magic can free up some time to come on the Jason Walker Show. Appreciate Coach joining us, and we'll have some great conversations moving forward, I'm sure. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I read what the Big Sky Conference said they're going to do, and we'll talk about that. Also on this day in history, and the walk-off, and a whole lot more still to come. It is Monday, the Jason Walker Show. Last segment brought to you by our good friends at Rutgers Furniture. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Store-wide savings are what you'll find when you shop for new home furnishings at Rutgers Furniture. This means tremendous values on Helena's largest in-stock selection of home furnishings. When you shop Rutgers, you'll find store-wide savings on the furniture you want for every room in your home. And you'll also find our selection of Serta iComfort, the most comfortable beds in Helena. 12-month financing is available with approved credit on most purchases over $289. Ask for details. You'll find store-wide savings at Rutgers Furniture, 1010 Dearborn, Helena.
Spring is fast approaching and summer is just around the corner, so now is the time to get those windows tinted at Auto Concepts as the sun starts to heat up. Tinting is the best way to keep the sun out of your little one's eyes driving down the road. Plus, it just looks cool. Auto Concepts is your exclusive 3M dealer for tinting, as well as the best clear bras in town. Auto Concepts clear bras will not fade or yellow over time. And don't forget about suspension lifts and power steps for your rig too. Visit AutoConceptsHelena.com or check them out on Facebook. Auto Concepts, the auto enhancement professionals. During this time of uncertainty and stay-at-home orders, Dinners Done Right wants to remind you that they're still open. Just go to dinnersdoneright.com, place your order, and then pick it up for dinner that night, or plan ahead and order for the weekend. It's easy. Visit dinnersdoneright.com, register, pick your meals, then pick them up, or stop in and grab meals out of the front freezer. Dinners Done Right's taking extra precautions with extra cleanings going on with every piece of equipment and personnel. Dinners Done Right thanks you for your continued support, and may we all stay safe and healthy during this time. Have you thought about buying a home and just don't know where to begin? Well, when it comes to one of the most important purchases one can make, we understand it can be frustrating and confusing, but it doesn't have to be. Let the Major Mortgage team help you with all your mortgage needs. Major Mortgage means major service, and we would love the opportunity to help you today. Give J.R. McFadden, NMLS number 1246357, a call today at 406-465-1918, or you can visit him at 2001 11th Avenue, Building A, Suite 3 in Helena. Major Mortgage is a division of AMCAP Mortgage, NMLS number 129122, equal housing lender. Yes, it's true that Montana is a long way from the Gulf Coast, but you can bring that Cajun flavor home with a stop at Cafe Zydeco. From po' boys to classic sandwiches, Cafe Zydeco has all the best Cajun in town. Are you in the mood for seafood gumbo or crawfish etouffee? Maybe you're craving jambalaya with some shrimp and grits. Head in for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or call ahead for pickup or delivery. Cafe Zydeco will fix all your southern cravings, even on a chilly Montana day. Cafe Zydeco is a proud sponsor of The Jason Walker Show.
Welcome back to the Jason Walker Show.
Final segment on a Monday, Jason Walker Show, Major Mortgage Man Cave. So the Big Sky Conference, the President Council voted today to allow its members to make institutional decisions in accordance with NCAA policies regarding when its student athletes will resume practice and competition. So basically, it's up to each individual institution to when they're going to allow student athletes back to be on campus and start working out and stuff. Also, some changes to Big Sky Championships and schedules. Impacting the following sports. Volleyball will play a 16-match regular season conference schedule. Top 4 teams will advance to the conference postseason tournament to be held at defending champ Northern Colorado. So this is how they're going to do it. You're going to see a lot of this year, I think, if we get sports. Each school's conference slate will feature 8 opponents to be played on consecutive days at the same location. So this is like the old Frontier. And you had 5 teams. So like Montana State would travel to Missoula to play Montana on, say, a Friday and a Saturday. Or, Cats or Grizz go down to Weber and play Friday, Saturday type thing. Or Thursday, Friday, just throwing consecutive days is basically. Let's see. For the softball will play its expected 18-game regular season. Let's not even worry about that. That's still a year away. The football kickoff, though, is the last 2 years in Spokane will be conducted remotely through a virtual event. Saw it coming, knew it was going to happen. Still, it's great to visit. And I know we can't socially distance out in Spokane during, when you got all the coaches, all the players, there's usually 2 kids from each school, so that's a lot. Idaho State will serve as the 2021 Indoor Track and Field Championship, and Weber State, which was supposed to host the 2020 Outdoor Championships, will host in 2021, potentially. So there you go. Let's see, what else did... should we do on this day in history? Yeah, why not? It is brought to you by the Motherlode Sports Bar, Casino, and Restaurant. Sports betting is open in Montana, and Sports Bet Montana, or whatever it's called, got ripped over the weekend because they had some crazy numbers put up for the UFC fight, which, by the way, why the hell did the UFC continue when one of the guys that was scheduled to fight Saturday tested positive for COVID-19? Nobody knows how many people he came into contact with, but they still went ahead with it. Anyway, today is May the 11th. It is National Eat What You Want Day. I think people have been doing that for the last 2 months anyway. National Twilight Zone Day. That was a great theme. Before we go to May 11th, let's go back 2 days to May 9th. Saturday, Spokane, a horse that was born at the Doncaster Round Barn 2 miles north of Twin Bridges, won the 1889 Kentucky Derby, Spokane. 7 months later, Montana became a state. Not saying that's why, but it's coincidence. But yeah, May 9th, the anniversary, 1889, Spokane, Montana-born horse that won the Kentucky Derby. All right, May 11th, 1900, James Jeffries knocked out James Corbett in 23 rounds for the heavyweight boxing title, back when men were men. 1910, Glacier National Park was formed. Well, I mean, it was already formed, but it became a national park. 1928, at Royal St. George, Walter Hagen won the third of his 4 Open championships over in Britain. 1935, the 60th Preakness, Willie Saunders aboard Omaha would win. It was the third horse, by the way, to go on to win the Triple Crown. The father was Gallant Fox, who was the second to win the Triple Crown 5 years earlier, 1930. 1963, Sandy Koufax pitched his second no-hitter. 1972, the Giants traded Willie Mays to the New York Mets. 1988, happy birthday, Irving Berlin. He died in 1989, so he was 101. Is that right? Yeah. Considered one of the greatest songwriters. He wrote God Bless America, he wrote White Christmas, was born in the Russian Empire, but the Irving Berlin's birthday on this date. Also, 1981, happy birthday, Lauren Jackson, the great Australian basketball player who had a great career in America. And one death on this date in 1981. Bob Marley died of brain and lung cancer. He was 36, but he died on this date in 1981. So there you go. Let's see. Let's do this.
We're almost at the end of the show. What did we learn? And what did he miss? Time for the walk-off.
My daughter's calling me. Should we put her live on the air? My oldest, she's 21. Just graduated college. Congratulations, by the way. Although she didn't graduate. So I'll tell her. I don't know. She knows I'm on the air. Why are you calling? Anyway, all right, sweetie. I'll talk to you in a little bit. Let's see. The walk-off. All right, we were talking about baseball earlier. American Legion National Office came out and said last night that they are not sponsoring. They're canceling all of its American Legion sponsorships this year. That means there's no American Legion baseball. But American Legion teams in Montana are going to chat on Tuesday night and come up with the potential of having a season. Here's the thing. Montana and, well, let's just stay with Montana. You have to come up with your own insurance. Probably going to have to get new uniforms because you can't wear the American Legion patch. Or can you? That's one question that'll have to be figured out. My guess is no. So you still have to come up with your own insurance. You already complain as a Legion programs in the state about lack of money. How are you going to come up with that? Well, the coach of the Billings Scarlets, Adam Hust, said the community will help pay. Really? I know that communities are great with youth sports and great sponsorships for American Legion, but how? Most businesses in the state of Montana haven't been open in 2 months. They haven't paid their employees. They've furloughed. They haven't made money. How are they going to help you? Just so we can have baseball? Hey, let's not pay our employees, but we're going to sponsor this baseball team. Look, baseball is the greatest sport ever. I'm a huge fan. But here's my big question. Why is it so important that Montana become a renegade state? You're not tougher than a virus that keeps getting worse. I'm born and raised a Montanan. Born in Livingston. Raised in Montana. Why is it so important that we keep showing the country our balls are bigger than yours? We're going to play baseball. Look, I talk sports. I want sports, but not at the risk of people getting sick. But Jason, Montana's on a downward slide. Montana's flattened the curve. For now, our little 2-year-old had her doctor's appointment today, asked about going back to daycare, because my wife and I have the ability to keep her at home. And we have. And she said, wait till the end of May at the least. Why? Because we don't know, since our governor decided to open up the state, if we're going to get our second wave of sickness. And we just might. And guess what? You don't know. I don't know. None of us know if there's going to be a second wave. Newsflash, there's going to be. Is it going to be in June? Is it going to be in September? Here's the thing. You don't know either. But, yep, there you go. I love the state of Montana, but some people are making idiotic, stupid decisions. And I'm going to call your ass out on it every single freaking time. Thanks to Steve Keller for joining us today. Did not know we had dachshunds. I'm sorry, Coach. Tomorrow, Peter Van Mullum will join us. Interesting story about Pete. Couple of them, actually. And NAI President and CEO Jim Carr will join us tomorrow. We hope to see you then. We'll see you back here at 4. It is The Jason Walker Show.
The Jason Walker Show is produced by the Jason Walker Media Company. Any reuse, rebroadcast, or retransmission without the express written consent of the Jason Walker Show is strictly prohibited. Just listen, watch, and enjoy.